All right, for our final lesson 8.6, the use of kites. What is a kite? You might think of a kite as the thing that you would have flying up in the sky, like so. The main thing, there's actually going to be a couple of things here, but the main thing is these two sides are congruent, but then these two sides, they're much longer, but they are congruent to each other, but they are longer than the ones up top. And we'll break it down a little bit further than that. So the first theorem, if a quadrilateral is a kite, then its diagonals are perpendicular. We've seen this before for other quadrilaterals. We see this diagonal, CA, would be perpendicular to this diagonal, BD. Couple important symbols, the upside down T, the square in the corner, those are both showing us a 90-degree angle. So that is important to note. If I wanted to go back and draw that in my little cute drawing of a kite, I would draw my two intersecting diagonals and I would put a little 90-degree angle, right? All of these are 90 degrees. Okay, so coming back down here. Next one. If a quadrilateral is a kite, then exactly one pair of opposite angles are congruent. So you can see in the picture they're saying A and C are the ones that are congruent. But then this is where it gets a little tricky. I'm not going to say that B and D are congruent because they're not. If you actually look, I'm seeing D is a bit more, it's going to be smaller than D, right? It's much more narrow of an angle. So instead of this, I'm actually going to cross these ones out and I'm going to write a different fact in. Now, this is true for all quadrilaterals, but especially for the kite. If I add up all of the angles, so all four of the angles, I'm seeing A plus B plus C plus D, that is going to equal 360. So although I cannot say that B and D are congruent, what I do know is if I add up all four, it'll equal 360. And that's going to be helpful for us as we move forward. So let's move forward to our first examples. QRST is a kite, and they want us to find angle T. So first thing I notice is that with these sides being congruent and these sides being congruent, I know that T and R, angle T and angle R, are also congruent. So adding all four of these together would be 360. So let's start there. 70 plus 88 plus, instead of x plus x, I'll just write it as 2x will equal 360. I draw my line because I'm about to get into some algebra. Okay. 70 plus 88 is 158. Write in the rest of the stuff. I want to get like terms together, so I'm going to subtract 158 on both sides. I will have 2x equals 202. And then I can just divide 2 on both sides. So x equals 101. And so in my kite, I know both of these angles are 101 degrees. Let's check out example 2. So we have a kite here, and they want us to find K. So I'll put an X where K is. I notice that E is a 90-degree angle, so that means that I is also a 90 degree because I'm seeing how the sides are congruent to each other, so those opposite angles are going to be congruent. So let's make an equation. 107 plus 90 plus 90 plus X equals 360. I don't have a ton of room on the bottom of this page, so let's, well, actually, I'm looking at this. We're not going to need that many steps. I was nervous that I wasn't going to have enough space, but there's really only 2 steps. The first step is I added my like terms. 107 plus 90 is 287. I'm going to subtract 287 on both sides, and that's going to give me x equals 73. So angle K is 73 degrees. Okay, a little bit of extra practice for kites. Example 3, WEST is a kite, and let's do a little bit of labeling. UW is 3, US is 3, UT is 12, and EU is 5. Okay, so let's find the following. WE. So WE is this length right here. I'm going to have to use this triangle. And I would say if I know two sides of a triangle, and I remember that this shape is perpendicular, like the the diagonals crossing each other is creating a perpendicular relationship. So there's a 90-degree angle there, which tells me that I can use Pythagorean theorem. And I'm looking for this side. That's the hypotenuse. So that is C. I'll put 3 squared plus 5 squared on the right side. 3 squared is 9, plus 5 squared is 25. And 9 plus 25 is 34. And to get rid of that square, I just have to square root both sides. And the square root of 34 is 5.83. So WE is 5.83. Now the nice thing here, if I know that this side is 5.83, then I know that this side is also 5.83, because in a kite, those sides, what would we say, corresponding sides perhaps of a kite, they are going to be congruent. I'm also seeing this is a 3, this is a 5, so it's the exact same work to get that. So ES is 5.83. Okay. Coming over here, WT is this length right here. So we're going to just have to repeat the process. A squared plus B squared equals C squared. We're doing 3 squared plus 12 squared equals C squared. 3 squared is 9. 12 squared is 144. 9 plus 144 is 153. And I just need to square root both sides to undo the square. And that gives me that C equals 12.37. And so if I know that this is 12.37, then this as well is 12.37. So WT is 12.37 and ST is 12.37. Let's get into our very last example. Two congruent angles in a kite you have at home are 124 degrees. So I'm a visual learner, and I think having a picture here would be really helpful. So these two angles are 124 degrees. Okay. Of the remaining two angles, one is 7 times larger than the other. So if I have an angle that is an x, then that means the other angle is going to be 7 times larger than that. So 7x. So maybe this is our x and this is our 7x. Okay. What is the measure of the smallest angle? So we're just going to make an equation and solve for x and find out what x equals. That will tell us what the smallest angle of the kite is. So let's set up an equation. 124 plus 124 plus x plus 7x equals 360. Those are my 4 angles in the kite, equaling up to 360. 124 plus 124 is 248. X plus 7x is 8x, equaling 360. I am going to put some like terms together. So I'm subtracting 248 on both sides. I will be left with 8x equals 112, and then I can just divide 8 on both sides. And so I will be left with x equals 14. And so the smallest angle of this kite is 14 degrees, and the largest angle is just 7 times larger than that. So 14 times 7 would get you the other angle, but the question specifically is asking for the smallest, so we're done there. All right, you are good to complete the practice problems. Good luck.